Is AI actually taking your job, or is it just the most convenient excuse bosses haven't in decades? It all starts with something like this. This is a real quote from a former employee, Ada Obelbi. They asked her to spend weeks documenting her entire job, only to find out she was basically training her own replacement. This isn't some dystopian movie plot. For a lot of people, this is happening right now. It's a tough, personal, and frankly, brutal reality. And this isn't just a few isolated incidents. We're talking about a massive scale. Projections for January 2026 are showing that an average of 856 people could be losing their jobs every single day, with AI getting the official blame. Just think about that number. It is absolutely staggering, and it makes you ask the question, what is really going on here? So, to figure that out, we have to start with the official story. The one that we hear all the time in the news. The narrative about which jobs are supposedly right on the chopping block.
And on the surface, the data seems to make a lot of sense, right? Jobs that are all about routine, processing data, administrative tasks, they show the highest risk. You've got telemarketers way up there, with over 96% of what they do being potentially automated. And right behind them, you see all sorts of clerks, order clerks, payroll clerks, all of them with over 94% exposure.
And this quote from Dr. Amanda Main sums up that logic perfectly. If your job is built on predictable, repeatable steps, you're vulnerable. It's the story we've all come to accept, the one that seems totally logical. But this is where things start to get a little weird.
Because as soon as you dig just a little bit deeper, you find this huge contradiction. A crack that starts to break that whole official story wide open.
I think we all have this picture in our heads, The classic robot arm on an assembly line doing the exact same task a person used to do. It's a powerful image, this fear of a one-to-one replacement, but it might actually be blinding us to what's really happening, especially in more complex, high-skilled jobs.
And this is what I'm talking about. Check out this paradox. Data scientists. According to the data, their jobs have a massive AI exposure rate, over 82%. So, based on the official story, this role should be on life support, but instead, it's projected to grow by more than 33%. So what's going on? It turns out high exposure doesn't always mean replacement. A lot of the time, it means augmentation. The AI tools are making these folks even better and more productive at their jobs, not obsolete.
And that paradox, well, it leads us directly to the real heart of this story. It's a corporate strategy that often has way more to do with boosting stock prices than it does with any real tech breakthrough.
Listen to this. It's coming straight from an insider, a hiring manager. They were literally told to blame AI in the layoff memos. Why? Because it's pure optics for shareholders. Think about it. AI-driven transformation sounds innovative and exciting to Wall Street. It sounds a whole lot better than, hey, we're just doing some old-fashioned cost-cutting to make our quarterly numbers look good.
And it's not just the managers saying it. The tech experts, the people who actually build this stuff, are calling it out too. Tanya Reeves, a senior machine learning engineer, puts it bluntly. The AI that's being blamed for these layoffs, a lot of the time it can't even do the basic functions of the job it's supposedly replacing. Her words, this is a con.
And this whole practice actually has a name, AI washing. It's just like greenwashing, where companies pretend to be environmentally friendly for PR. With AI washing, companies use all the hype and excitement around artificial intelligence to hide what are usually just simple and sometimes brutal business decisions. It's a fancy, high-tech costume for a very, very old play.
So here's how this little shell game often works. Step 1. A company makes a big announcement about layoffs, but they frame it as a forward-thinking AI transformation. Step 2. The market loves this kind of news, so the stock price often gets a nice little bump. And then step 3. A few months down the line, that same work is quietly rehired, but this time it's done through cheaper offshore contractors.
And look, this isn't just some conspiracy theory. Hard research from Forrester projects that a full half of all these layoffs blamed on AI will just result in the same jobs being filled by cheaper human workers somewhere else. And that right there is the smoking gun. If the AI was really doing the work, you wouldn't need to rehire anyone, would you? Okay, so if the official reason for these layoffs is often just a smokescreen, how do we actually deal with the disruption that is happening? Well, the conversation is really splitting into two parts. Huge systemic solutions on one side and practical personal strategies on the other.
Now, as we think about the possibility of major job displacement, one of the biggest ideas out there is Universal Basic Income, or UBI. And it's a pretty radical idea.
A guaranteed, regular paycheck for every single citizen, with no strings attached. The goal is to create a solid safety net in an economy that's changing at lightning speed.
But of course, UBI is not some magic bullet. The people who support it say it could wipe out poverty, streamline our complicated welfare programs, and maybe even spark a wave of entrepreneurship. But the critics raise some really serious points. They worry about the astronomical cost, the risk of causing massive inflation, and whether it might just discourage people from working at all. It's a fierce debate.
So while the big thinkers argue about UBI, what can you do right now? Well, the World Economic Forum has highlighted the skills that companies are desperately looking for. And look what's at the very top: analytical thinking and creative thinking. These are the things that are uniquely human, the things that AI at its core can't replicate. It's all about judgment, creativity, and being able to adapt. And all of this leads to a really powerful way to think about your career moving forward. It's not about trying to outcompete the machines, it's about learning how to collaborate with them. The core concept is called human in the loop. This is a model where you let the AI handle all the speed, the scale, the number crunching, but there is always a human there to provide the critical pieces that machines just don't have: judgment, context, and a sense of ethics. And really, this is the most important takeaway for your own career. The future of valuable work isn't going to be about being replaced by a machine. It's about becoming the person that the machine goes to when things get messy or ambiguous, or when there's a tough ethical call to be made. It's about being the person who provides the final layer of accountability. So at the end of the day, we're left with this fundamental question. AI is just a tool. It doesn't have its own motives. Whether it ends up being a technology that empowers all of us, or just becomes another excuse to maximize profits no matter the human cost, well, that really depends on the choices that all of us, as employees, as leaders, as citizens, decide to make next. The story isn't over yet.